Hi Spencer, can you hear me okay?
Yes, how you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. Well, thank you for taking some time to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
How's your day going? What time is it there?
It is 11:30 in the morning. How about where you are?
Here it's 4:30 in the afternoon, so a little bit later for me.
I see you got some Evil Dead imagery in the back. You're a
Yeah, got a
true horror
few
fan.
yeah, big horror fan, which is why I was very excited that we're going to talk a bit about horror today. Obviously, the new album. Yeah, I want to, I guess, pick your brains about horror because I'm guessing you're quite a big fan yourself. I see your Michael Myers mask in the back.
Yes, horror is okay. I'm not that big of a fan. No, just kidding. I am. I've got my prized possession, a Wes Craven signed Ghostface mask, if you can see it.
Oh wow, that's amazing. It looks
Pretty
like you
cool,
have
yeah.
a shit ton of memorabilia and stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually at my house in Salem where my family lives. I live in Los Angeles, but for the album release, we are planning a lot of stuff in the most sinister place on earth, Salem, Massachusetts. So I'm back looking at all my old autographs.
I love it. I love that you're in Salem. That feels like the most appropriate place to be. Absolutely.
Oh, totally. Yeah, when we just have a billboard going up right in downtown Salem. Went up yesterday, and we're going to do a pop-up shop there for the new album for this month. So it's going to be great.
That's so cool. I'm gutted that I'm in the UK and we've got nothing cool like that going on. Halloween
Nothing
here is
cool.
like, no, Halloween here is like super, super small. People don't celebrate it that much. So we don't have like good horror stuff.
I mean, Hellraiser was filmed in the UK. The Shining was filmed in the UK. There's a lot of history.
There's a lot of history, but it still seems to be quite niche. I think people are still frightened of it. So
Oh, that's weird. Well, I know that we saw a lot of when we played in the UK. A lot of Ice Nine Kills fans love horror, so it's alive there. Someone just got to reinvigorate it or something.
absolutely. Well, that brings me on, I guess, to one of my first questions for you, which is what first got you into horror? How did you fall in love with the genre, seeing as you are such a big fan?
So very organic, sort of the way that I was drawn to the genre. It all began when I would go to the grocery store, believe it or not, as odd as it sounds, with my mother. In our small town, the Stop and Shop, which is like this big grocery store chain, had a VHS store inside of it. And when I was killing time while my mom was shopping, I'd go in the video store, and my favorite aisle quickly became horror. I think initially the artwork on the cover of the videos just drew me in.
Yeah,
I just remember just so vividly, like the cover of Halloween, just that pumpkin with the butcher knife, and Friday the 13th, the outline of the killer, and all these other smaller movies like Sleepaway Camp and Hellraiser and Creep Show, and I guess that's where it all began. I begged my parents to let me see them, and they let me see them, and I think they thought, oh, he'll grow out of this obsession. And clearly, they were wrong. They should never have let me see these things.
I know it's only gotten worse and worse. And
Oh man.
what age were you when you first like started watching horror movies?
This has got to be, I want to say, really young, like 6 or 7,
Oh
probably.
wow, super young.
Super young. Um, yeah, I would say that about that age. Because by the time I saw Scream, which I saw Scream in the theater, and I was 11 in '96, I was already a big horror fan. Like I knew who Jason and Michael and Freddy were, and I knew all the movies. So it makes sense that I was a fan for probably like a few years at least before that.
That's awesome. Coolest 11-year-old around, right?
I was pretty cool. I was dating a girl who was, probably 25 at the time. No, I'm just kidding.
And obviously, like, Ice Nine Kills, such a cool band, the concept, bringing horror together with heavy metal. A friend of mine, actually, I discovered Ice Nine Kills. I met them on a night out and they were like, if you haven't listened to this band, like, you love heavy metal, you love horror, instantly was like, holy hell, this is the band for any horror fan. What first inspired you to kind of use horror as an influence to create heavy metal and, the music that you make?
So I think, the real moment in time where we really hardcore switched to just doing horror was
Yeah,
Every Trick in the Book and the Silver Scream one, where we, it said, okay, this song is about The Exorcist, even though we were covering books. Obviously, The Exorcist is an iconic film.
yeah,
So that was about 2015. But ever since I started the band back, in the high school days, middle school days, like 2000, 2001, we're talking. There was always, even though maybe our music didn't necessarily sound scary, it wasn't really metal at the time. It was more like punk.
yeah,
Um, there was always like that sort of undertone of horror, or sort of just beneath the surface, if it was like a song lyric or a clip from Halloween that we put into a part of our song, or merchandise, or the flyers for our shows. We always had that element at play, and then it really came to the forefront in about 2015 with Every Trick in the Book, which was basically predominantly about horror literature.
yeah. And I think it works really well. And you obviously mentioned there how, of course, your sound has completely kind of, it's changed over the years. And I think, I would personally say it's definitely like matured. It's gotten heavier, in my personal opinion. Do you feel like you've kind of found the right sound for you guys, like the sound that you'll stick with, or do you think it's kind of like an ongoing evolution?
I think that everything with us is always going to be sort of an evolution of sorts. But
Yeah,
and I think especially with this new album, there's a lot of different sounds going on. One song is brutally heavy with no chorus, for instance, with Cannibal Corpse on it. Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse, and then we
yeah,
go to a song like Ex Mortis, which is kind of a more of a almost a horror infused swing, kind of like ragtime uh, kind of metal concoction. So I think we found our sound, but that sound exists in sort of a large box where
yeah.
we do a number of different styles, and we're just really fortunate that our fans are predominantly just so accepting of us trying new things and not having to fit into Ice Nine Kills. It's got to sound like this, and we'll just continue to see what we can get away with, because I think we always like to take risks.
Risk taking is good. It means, things don't get stale. It never gets boring. So I'm pleased to hear that. Um, and so the Silver Screen 1 and 2, you've got like a lot of iconic horror films in there. What's kind of like, how did you choose them? Because there's so many fantastic like films out there, so much horror to be inspired by. How did you guys kind of like go, these are the ones we want to cover, especially for the latest album? I mean, I love them all, but there's some real icons in there. What was your process behind that?
Well, so the first one, I knew that you couldn't do a horror album without covering the greats of the genre in terms of like the
Yeah,
most iconic ones, and my favorites, like Michael, Jason, Leatherface, Freddy Krueger, and then at the same time I wanted to choose a few more obscure ones, like Silent
hmm,
Night, Deadly Night, or My Bloody Valentine. Just talking about going from this album to the next album, and I wanted it to be that sort of combination of the ones that everyone knows who loves horror, but maybe some that are a little bit less mainstream to give
Yeah.
them some exposure. And it's really cool when I hear that. Oh man, I knew Halloween, but I didn't know American Werewolf in London, or like that kind of thing, where um, just kind of shining the spotlight on some that maybe people who are my age and younger might not know about.
Yeah, and yeah, there's some great films on there, and there's certainly, like you said, there's a nice mix of like the big iconic ones and also some of them that are a little bit less well known. And so off the new album, I'm personally obsessed with Take Your Pick. I don't think I mean, it's my new favorite gym track. Like, it is perfect for doing weights too, like absolutely on loop. What are a couple of your favorite tracks off the new album?
Well, first, that's so cool to hear that. I haven't heard, no one's heard that one yet. So it's nice to hear that that's the reaction to it. That is one of my favorites because it's just so heavy for us, especially, and I
Hmm.
think it does mark the first time, like I said, that I've never done a melodic chorus. There's that like little melodic section in the middle, but
Yeah.
that's more for the humor of it. It's a play on Love Hurts. Um, and the breakdown that follows is just brutality to the level of humor, basically, is what we were kind of going for. I think Funeral Derangements is one of my favorite tracks, and we're about to come out with a video for that. That's of course about Pet Cemetery, and
Yeah.
for that music video, we've done so many cool cameos throughout the story arc so far. Bill Moseley, who's just an incredible actor, obviously famous for being in Rob Zombie's films, and
Yeah.
Chop Top from Texas Chainsaw. Um, and this new one for Funeral Derangements, we were able to get the actor who played Little Gage in the original Pet Cemetery
Oh my
to
God, that's
play.
awesome.
Yeah. So he plays the truck driver in his sort of really twisted, ironic cameo. He plays the truck driver that hits the little kid. So I thought that was like pretty horrifically poetic.
That's yeah, it's quite a twisted thing to do,
Yeah. So essentially, he's coming back and killing himself.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to see it. That sounds amazing. Any others off the new album that you really like as well?
Uh, I really really like every song, so it's hard to choose. Um,
Well, that's good to hear.
Ex Mortis about Evil Dead
Yeah.
is a really fun time. I really like how we close the album with our ode to the sweetest killer alive, Candyman. Um, yeah, I think there's some strong stuff in here.
Yeah, I love the Candyman song. It's really, really good. Great way to end the album. And you mentioned as well, you've got some great collaborations on here. It's really cool that you get to work with, so many other like fantastic bands. Are there any like collaborations that you'd love to do in the future?
Yeah, I think just going along the lines of the godfathers of horror music. I think Alice Cooper would be really cool. Rob
Mm,
Zombie, um, Slipknot, Guar would even be very cool.
yeah, that would be cool.
Uh, yeah, I mean, just tipping our hats to the bands that paved the way for a band like us, because we're not the first one to do this kind of stuff, and we acknowledge that those people really open the door for Ice Nine Kills.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I hope to hear collaborations with all of those bands because they're certainly some of my favorites. I think Slipknot would be very cool. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it happens one
Yes, and I don't
day.
know if it's true, but I've heard through the grapevine that Corey likes the band, so maybe someday.
Okay. All right. We're going to pray for this. It's going to
Or
happen.
someone in the Slipknot camp likes Ice Nine Kills. That's what I've heard. So I mean that would be that would be amazing.
I love it. And you've also recently been in some horror films, haven't you? So I want to know, like, how do you find acting in horror films? Like, how is it different to singing? How do you like, do you love it? Like, what's been your experience with doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an actor, so I really got a sort of a crash course in acting by being in all these music videos that we've been doing over the last few years, and especially the last set we've done. We did a scene where I've got dialogue and stuff. So I've kind of had a little experience doing that, but when we were doing the scene with Bill Moseley and Ricky Dean Logan, who plays my attorney. He's another great actor that was in Back to the Future and one of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, Freddy's Dead. That was
Hmm.
the first time I was in a room where I was, working with these two guys, these kind of seasoned veterans, and trying to keep up with that. And I think that definitely prepared me for acting in some of in at least one of the films that I'm part of. It's called The Retaliators, which is a really cool horror film that debuts, I think, originally in the UK. I think it had its debut either this week or a few weeks ago. And I
Yeah,
was in a
played
scene with
at Fright Fest a couple of
Fright
weeks
Fest.
ago.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was in a scene with Five Finger Death Punch, and I get a gun shoved in my mouth. So yeah, nothing can really prepare you for that. But
How did you feel about that?
well, it was the first time that I had ever met the Five Finger guys, and
Yeah.
it's an interesting way to meet someone. But they were super nice and super cool about it, and yeah, it was a really fun experience. I was basically naked playing a drug dealer doing cocaine off this lovely woman, and then getting a gun shoved in my mouth, and then having my tongue cut out, I think. So yeah, it was an interesting day to be in Vegas.
Just it That just sounds like a normal Saturday night in Vegas, no?
Yeah, typical day at the Mirage, really.
Yeah, it's I've seen the Retaliators. It's a super fun horror movie, which I've been telling everyone about, and yeah, it went down really, really well at Fright Fest. So it was good work, well done. It was a fun
Well,
scene.
I'm hoping I stole the show there. I still haven't seen the movie or the scene, but I'm glad that you liked it.
I love that you haven't even seen it yourself, but you've got to look forward to it then.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
And are you hoping to do some more acting in the future?
Yes, there's another project that I can't speak about yet,
Yeah.
but in Hollywood, in the business, nothing's ever a sure thing. But if this goes down the way I've been told it's going to go down, I will be in one of my favorite a remake or reimagining of one of my favorite slasher films in a little cameo role. So fingers crossed that everything goes well with that.
That's very, very exciting. Well, I'll keep my eyes out for that because that sounds awesome. And obviously, as we've spoken, you are a big horror fan. What would you say are some of your favorite horror films ever? I know it's a tough question.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to obviously just go through the Silver Scream 1 and 2 for the album for the movies that are my favorite, because those are some of my absolute favorites. So I'll choose ones that we didn't cover on the albums. Idle Hands is a horror comedy that I really, really love. It's just a really fun movie that I have such fond memories of seeing back in 1999 in the theater. And if you are an Evil Dead fan, there is some of that spirit in that performance
Okay.
from Devin Sawa. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen Idle Hands. No, I've heard of it,
Uh,
but I haven't seen it. So
it's so
top of the
fun.
watch list.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to give you ones that you haven't seen.
Okay,
Um,
I like this.
The Burning is a very cool slasher movie that came out, I think in '81, right, pretty much right after Friday the 13th. But I think it was made sort of at the same time. So it I don't think it was intentionally, or Friday the 13th one hadn't been released yet, I don't think. So I don't think it was intentionally copying Friday the 13th, but it was very similar premise. And it's just got great practical effects from Tom Savini, who's, one of the greats of the splatter genre. Another one right in that same vein is called The Prowler, directed by Joseph Zito, who also directed Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. Just another great, like, little lesser known slasher film. Prowler, check that out. I would also say, this one borders more on psychological thriller, not necessarily horror, but I think it's horror. It's actually the sequel to a well-known film called When a Stranger Calls. This is When a Stranger Calls Back. It was a 1993 made for Showtime film, directed by the same guy who did the original, this guy named Fred Walton. And it's a sequel. It's just, set, let's see, 15 years in the future. And it's just a very scary film. It predates Scream by 3 years, and it uses the telephone device as part of the scare. And I don't know, it's just especially the opening scene is just, I think, terrifying, very creepy.
I'll have to I've not even heard of that one. I'll have to give that a watch. I did watch The Burning recently, because I don't really like slasher movies. I know that's like a bad thing to say. I know.
They're my favorite.
I tried September, I tried to watch like a big list of slasher movies, and I got through 3 of my 30, my list of 30. So it's I'm still trying.
You were picking the wrong ones.
I think so.
But yeah, those are the ones that I can think of that probably most people haven't seen.
And do you have anything on your, like, any horror films that you're really looking forward to seeing this year that you haven't seen yet, or that are coming out later in the year?
Like everyone, really looking forward to the 2 big ones in the next few months: Halloween Kills, and the new Scream. Those are 2 of my absolute favorite franchises. So I've heard great things about both, and it's not a coincidence that the new Halloween comes out the same day as the Silver Scream 2, Welcome to Horrorwood. I definitely was eyeing that as the plan, because I thought that would be just a really cool combination of things for our fans to be able to get the album, listening to it on the way to the theater to see Halloween Kills, and Ice Nine Kills, Halloween Kills. It's
perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
That is, well, I'm certain that that's what everyone is going to be doing that day. I'm definitely going to be doing that. I'm actually going to go and see the new movie, so I'm very much looking forward to Halloween Kills as well. So you play a lot of, when you're on stage, you do a lot of aesthetics. Obviously in the new song, you also play Patrick Bateman, American Psycho. So, it's clear that you quite like playing the villains. If you could be any horror villain, who would you choose and why?
Patrick Bateman. He dresses great. He's a handsome fellow. He's wealthy. I mean, he just sort of has it all, and it seems like his living environment, his amenities, his apartment, it seems a little bit more comfortable than a shack far in the woods in Crystal Lake, or the old Myers house. Just seems like it would be more of a comfortable way of being a killer.
Yeah, that's true. It seems, a lot nicer, but some people quite like living in shacks. So
some do, not me. I like visiting shacks.
You like okay.
Yeah. I like being in the woods, in terms of killing, but I want to, I want to hit up my penthouse in Manhattan. That's where I prefer to be.
Yeah, do you know what? I think that's a really wise choice as well. I think the
Yeah,
penthouse
yeah,
is, yeah.
yeah. Definitely a better move.
And my final kind of question for you is, why should everyone go and buy the Silver Scream to Welcome to Horrorwood?
Why should everyone buy the Silver Scream 2 Welcome to Horrorwood? I think if you're a horror fan and you like heavy music, if you like punk music, if you like catchy music or theatrical music like Broadway stuff, I think it's a really nice love letter and a tribute to the horror movies and that I grew up loving, and I hope we did them justice. And at the end of the day, I think it provides a nice escape from reality. And there are serious moments on the album, but the whole thing is done really with a wink to the camera and a wink to the audience that we're just having fun here. And I think that initially is why Ice Nine Kills has continued to grow, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a fun time. It's a fun show. It's fun music, and I think with all the violence involved in the music and in the visuals, it's incredible that it really does, and kind of sounds funny to say, breeds positivity. So happy slashing.
I love it. And yeah, I can confirm it is an amazing album. Like, I've listened to it way too much already. And I can't wait to continue listening to it and hearing what everyone else thinks of it as well. But yeah, that is all of my questions for you today, Spencer. Do you have much? Are you up to much for the rest of the day? Do you have a busy day?
A lot of interviews getting in today, and that's about it. Just editing last minute edits on the new music video and website, and please check out welcome-to-horrorwood.net. It's this very kind of fun, cool, interactive experience where we had just put up an upside down crossword puzzle, which helps you sort of guess the film inspirations for the new album. Yeah, and October 15th, we'll see you there.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Yes, thank you very much. And also, as an Evil Dead fan, you should know that the album comes out on the 40th year anniversary of Evil Dead. Also, not a coincidence.
You've literally just planned this all out. It's amazing.
Years ago. I've been planning it since the womb.
Oh, well, I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your day, do all of your interviews and everything like that. But yeah, just again, big thank you for taking the time to chat to me today. I really appreciate it.
Great speaking with you. Hope we do it soon.
Yes, absolutely. Have a good day, Spencer.